Hello guys and welcome back to an episode of deck building. So basically it's gonna be the first episode we're gonna look at Greek mid-range. So we're gonna see what is the difference between Poseidon mid-range and Zeus mid-range. Obviously I'm gonna throw my opinion. I mean my opinion is not always the only good one. There's a lot of other device opinion. And I can totally understand that. It doesn't mean they're bad. I'm just giving you some insight of my way of thinking, basically. So let's start up with what I think is the best right now for mid-range, and it's Zeus. Why Zeus? Because Zeus, with his ability to draw a card in the late game, is really powerful to still have relevant card draws and sometimes play two threat or two cards at a time. Um, so let's start off with some basic rules. So mid range, your goal is to play more value than your opponent in order to kill him, right? So you don't want too much utility cards like Deadbringers, Blinks, and cards that are dead when you start the game that they cannot be played by themselves, right? Um, I will suggest you to have a max of 4 utility cards, because having more than 4, like 4 is kind of the limit, because having more than 4, you're gonna have inconsistent draws. Um, like I think 3 is the perfect balance, but you can go up to 4 if you want. It's still gonna be good. Um, but you don't want obviously like don't want to start with like double Brilliant Charge and Deadbringer as your first cards and not be able to play anything, right? So that's just a quick building tip here. So let's build the curve, right? So the only 2 drop that is really good right now is the turn 1 Marksman, right? Then we have some choices on turn 3 here. We can go with Brontus, who's gonna have 3 attack and 3 health, and it's gonna scale really well with all the 4 drop being gods right here, as you can see. We could go for the Brute, that's gonna offer more protection since he's gonna have 4 health, less attack, and the taunt tag, which is gonna be, I think, really good against aggro. And while Brontus is gonna be really good against gods like Aphrodite and Scylla because they have 4 health and a basic of your leader, and Brontus is gonna basically kill them for free. These two having 1 attack, right? Brontus is still gonna be be alive. If you go against Ra, Brontus can kill the Bastet and still be alive. He can trade with Enhers. If you go against Norse, though, Brontus can die to a Fate and a basic attack of their leader, not like Brute does. Keep in mind also that you could go and play Steropes, who is a 2/4, so it's literally in the middle of them. You don't have the taunt, but you already have 4 health. You deal bonus damage to minions. Sterop is also a strong pickup that you can have, you can put in that 3 place drop, yeah, in that 3 drop place. Sorry, and so yeah, it's really because right now there's so much Norse decks. I prefer to go Brute, but it is your choice. You can play also double Brute and like double Brontus if you want to be more early, but I really like being more mid range. And if you go second, you have the mana potion that you can use in turn 3 to play a turn 4 already. So that's why I don't think we need that much turn 3. But you could definitely play. I know some players that like play double Brontes, double Brute, and double Steropes because they really want to have a really powerful 3. They don't want to miss the turn 3 drop. Going on turn 4, obviously you want a Medusa and you want Scylla's. Um, these are basically the best 4 drops. Like Scylla's gonna challenge everything else in the game with 4 damage. I mean, not all the big tanks like Geb, but still it's gonna be a really good high threat. Keep in mind that his ability is 3 range and not 4 though. so try to place it well. Um, we have Aphrodite and Thanatos. Aphrodite is gonna protect your minions, so she's gonna be good with Brute. Um, I will definitely play one. Also, it's good against aggro. And Thanatos is kind of a, more Sunders and more Fire Imps with a 3-2 body, but usually get killed pretty easily. He's really good to bait the enemy removal, but playing him on turn 4 is really not as strong as playing Scylla or Medusa. Um, so it's up to you if you want to put one or not. We already have 4 4 drops. Um, I I really like the 4 drop spots, so I'll put one also so for some versatility. Then you want to go on your 5 drops. 5 drop, you obviously want Hanyo. She's the best one right now. I like the control that Hades offers to the board. You can also go with Arachne if you want. I feel like 3 5 drops is really good to curve out into them. And then Athena's on turn 6. These are inevitable, right? So basically we have 4 minions. Now here's the deal, right? Do you want to put Fire Giant or do you want to have the risk to be in minion recruited by the Fire Giant, right? This is up to you. Um, I mean, 20% chance of having Fire Giant is kind of a high, but you're not gonna play against Ra each time. And right now, there's a lot of Norse decks. I don't want to put the Fire Giant because if you go against aggro Norse, it's really slow. If you go against Control Ra, they can Phantom's Grasp it or Minion Recruiter it. I don't think right now it's the best, but there's definitely something you want to play usually in mid range. Um, we could replace the Arachne for some Kang. Also, it is really good. This is your preference, to be honest. But I feel like uh, that is a really good lineup. We could also remove Thanatos and play with some more Chao Fangs. It's always a good option. Uh, Having the brutes here, like we're lacking 3 drops to be honest. But like I said, going second with the coin, I use them on the 4 drop. And as for utility cards, I love Blink and I love having Deadbringers. Honestly, it's one is enough, and I really like having Charge. Charging Medusa or Scylla's, it's always really, really awesome. So now we're missing 3 cards. Obviously, I want to play the Fire Imps, get more damage on the face. And usually my last card here will be Fire Giant. Having 2 more minions with that will make it 7 minions, right? So that will be right now one of my mid-range. Like I said, there's a lot of cards that can be replaced for some of the same cost. You can maybe remove Fire Giant and I'll play um, some Brontes, having more 3 drops since we only have 2. There's not more 2 drops for Marksman, but it's not a big deal if you don't have it. You can always use Zeus' ability to draw a card. And so, yeah, basically, uh, whatever you play is going to be good. Tantos is really not. It's, he's more used like a removal tool. You can always change the Tantos to get more 3 drops into Brontes here. And now you have a much better mid-range deck, having 2 drops or your ability for Zeus 4 3 drops. Then you have 4 4 drops, 3 5 drops, and 2 6 drops. These are really well balanced. And we have 3 utility cards with Blink, Charge, and Deadbringer. Deadbringer and Arachne and Yos. Even Medusa is really powerful. Sometimes on Brontes also. Marksman Brontes is gonna synergize really well with all our 4 5 6 drops. So that's really that's a really cool mid-range Zeus deck. Now let's head to Poseidon. Poseidon mid-range. I like to play Poseidon Midrange much more defensively, and this is because of his ability, right? You deal 1 damage in a target area, and if the enemy unit is still on that area at the end of their turn, they take an additional damage, right? So this ability, you can place it anywhere on the map. So I really like to play the mid-range Poseidon, which much more taunts, much more defensive cards, and finish it with a good burst with Deadbringers, right? So for me, I will still play the Marksman because it's the best 2 drops. I will play definitely the Brutes. Now we'll play 2 Afros, 1 Medusa, 1 Scylla, still here. We definitely want to play the double Deadbringer. Um, you know, you can play 2, you can play 1, but like I said, I really like the burst from Deadbringer. Um, having also I like the removal that Thanatos offers me, and Thanatos with a charge is also cool. Anyo is basically one way to kill the enemy. Arachne, Athenas are more taunts. 1 Hades also I like for the movement that you can place your enemies um, where you want them to be. Blink always going to be useful. Um, I like to run also a charge and where are my double chow fangs? There you go. So this is how I like it. Much more taunts with afros, control the board, try to abuse his abilities, playing Deadbringers on Hades, on Enyos and Arachnes. You can always cut the Deadbringer and, having a little bit more, let's see, if you cut a Deadbringer, you can also cut, if you want, let's see, you can cut Tatos. It's kind of a removal, but since we're missing here some Sunders or some Imps, there you go. If you really don't like Deadbringer, you can just remove it and play Imps and try to control a little bit more of the board. But mid-ranger, you want to play into Marksman, Brute, Afro, Trow Fangs, or anything there really. You want to combo your charges with Scyllas, with Medusas, with anything really. Um, so yeah, keep in mind that there's always the core, and then there's always the support cards. I will say, like, for each Greek mid-range deck, the core will be marksman's. Then any 3 drops like brute brunters or star ropes, these are core. You need at least 2 of them. As for 4 drops, you usually want like Scyllas and or Medusa. These I think are more situational. If you don't have these one, of course go with Afro. It's gonna stick much more in the board with 4 health than Thanatos. You can also always place Thanatos. But he's not really good mid range. 4 mana for a 3/2, it's not so much value. If you can kill something though, you're gonna gain some tempo. It's gonna be good. Um, then obviously Anyo and Arachne are two, like, the 5 drops on Greek have so much health. Hades is ranged though and offers much more control. I really like that. People may not like it. Usually you want an Enyo. If not, you want a Hades or Arachne in 5 spots. And obviously you want a Tina on 6, right? So these would be like, let me just get, like, for example, Brontes. This will be the core of what you want in your deck. Then the rest is just fillers if you can't have the core of your deck, right? So thank you for watching, guys. I will not make gameplay of this video unless you guys of these decks, unless guys ask me, because it's typically your normal mid-range Zeus deck. I was just trying to give you some insight on how do you want to build them, and feel free to leave a comment if you disagree or if you have some some ideas you want to see in the next videos. And drop a like if you learned something today again. And I'll see you in the next video. Thank you, guys.